What's up, Gabe?
Hey, what's going on, James? Been
How
a
you doing,
while.
man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. COVID has us, locked indoors, doing new things. So really excited to be here, talking to the next.
Yeah, man. We're so excited to have you here, bro. It's definitely been a while. COVID, I just been going church, home, working,
Hmm.
and so forth. And I can't believe you're here, man. It's been definitely interesting. It's gonna be an interesting conversation. I already know. But
Right.
Gabe, before we continue going, man, can you just introduce yourself so everyone knows who you are? Because I know who you are, but people
Yeah,
need to know who you are.
absolutely. I'll give everyone my little elevator pitch. My name is Gabe. I like to say I'm a kid from the Bronx, born and raised. I like to say I was a diamond in the rough. I saw a lot of failures of story community in
Mhm.
my community, and I just wanted really to be successful. So that's always been my driver, my indicator to make an impact in my community. And I think I'm on path to doing that, but I'm not there yet. So
Yeah.
just influencing in my role, influencing in kind of my advice and speaking. And I'm really happy to just be on this platform and impact the lives that you're targeting here in this group. So really excited to be here. That's me in a nutshell. I'm sure we'll unpack it a little later.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I said before, we're definitely glad that you're here, bro. Um, and we were just talking briefly about how like COVID's definitely kept us in a rut, keeping us indoors, can't go anywhere, worried about going anywhere. Um, but let's just start it off. How did 2020 affect you?
Yeah. Man, when you think about the biggest shift probably ever in our lives, I think 2020 is definitely going down in the
Hmm.
history books. And let's just see about 2021 because it looks like,
It started
you
already
know,
rough for me, but we'll get there. Continue.
that girlfriend that doesn't want to go away, who's your ex, is they just there. So to me, really, it really just boils down to work. How we changed in terms of pivoting from in person to virtual for everyone is has just been paramount.
Yeah.
Everyone says, "Hey, listen, COVID is going to blow over in 2 weeks. We'll see you back here for now. Just figure out how to work remote." And here we are, a year out, and still we're
Yeah.
figuring out new ways to communicate, new ways to stay engaged, new ways to keep people on the same page where you can just get up and go to someone's desk and say, hey, are we on the same page? Now you have to get on Zoom calls and
Yep.
emails and over communicate than you already did. To me, it's been a blessing, right? In terms of, I feel like I've gotten closer to folks and I've gotten to learn new things about individuals because when you're on a Zoom call, pretty much 9 to 5, you really just want to take a break and get to know people. So I think it's opened a lot of opportunities, a lot of avenues for professionals and folks in school as well.
Yeah.
Now you're figuring out how to Zoom on a college campus or talk to a professor with 20 other people on a Zoom. So
Yep.
I'm sure for everyone, it's impacting their own way. Me in particular, there's been pros and cons, but more so pros.
That's good, man. And for me too, I think 2020 was definitely a year of like growth, a year where just to learn more about myself and who I was. And the whole I remember that day, I'm a teacher and I remember that day where they said, guys, so that you all heard the news. It was coming from China, it wasn't gonna come here, then it hit Washington like 2 cases, then it like escalated. I forgot what state it came to, then it escalated completely. Then my principal called us in. It's like, guys, let you know, this Friday's gonna be our last day for like a week or two. Make these packs for these kids. He's like, all right, no problem. Kids are doing packs 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, our teacher's like, you know what? Use your computers. We're gonna do virtual learning until we tell you when we go back. A year later, we're here, and it's crazy, right? It's crazy. I was going out all summer. All summer, I was going out. Um, Not like crazy, like going with a big group of people. Like people you're always close to, like one or two, three people and nothing. I actually went to Six Flags. Went to Six Flags during this whole pandemic,
That's
and
that's brave.
nothing happened. Right, and it's definitely terrible. Don't recommend going to an amusement park during COVID.
COVID. Oh gosh.
Don't do it. They have people walking around everywhere telling you keep your mask on, and it's like 95 degrees outside. Don't want a mask on.
Mm.
We'll never do it again. Um, but yeah, and I was totally fine, right? And then all of a sudden, bro, like 4 weeks ago, I got tested positive for COVID.
Ugh, man.
And like you saying that ex I wants to go away. Yo, she hit me about, and for some reason I responded,
Oh, man.
and like
Block
that
that.
whole COVID thing, man.
It's just nuts, and it's just when people talk about, oh, things will go back to normal. Like, what
Yeah.
is the new normal? Will things go back to
Yep.
normal? To me, it's just I'm adapting and changing.
Yeah.
in a sense, I'm an introvert, right? Like I'm not really an extrovert.
Yeah.
I work in an
Yes,
introvert
you
role,
definitely
but
are.
when it comes to just staying home, that's me. Like when folks said, "Oh my gosh, COVID is sucks," I'm at home all the time. I'm like, great. Now I have an excuse to
Yeah.
tell people, "Yo, so with this COVID, I'm gonna have to stay home." So to that perspective, a lot of people are like, "Oh, now I have a reason to stay home,"
Yeah.
but yeah, it's really just shifted a whole lot of things, and I'm excited to see what happens once COVID blows over and we really just start to focus on work-life balance, because I think that's key. That's what
Yeah.
taught a lot of folks about this virtual setting can actually work. So many people saw it
Yeah.
as taboo and crazy, and now they're like, hey, listen, there's an idea, there's an opportunity here. Let's seize this. So maybe we go back to 5 or 4 day weeks, right, where we don't have to necessarily work
Yeah.
a Monday through Friday, or we work a 9 to 3, and then bam, you just kind of do what you got to do virtually, or you only go to the office or your setting maybe 2 to 3 days, and you really
True.
leverage this virtual setting. So I think there's some opportunities that may come up after COVID goes away, should it go away.
Yeah, I think, going based off of that, you said like everything's adapting, I feel like that's just life. Like anything that gets thrown at you, you need to adapt to it. Like life doesn't slow down for nobody. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
COVID hit, but people still got bills to pay. Things still need to go down. Like no matter what it is, life
Mm-hmm.
still goes down. And what you just said about how, being home, being stuck at home, I loved it. I kind of did. I loved it. Like even though I'm gonna be honest, teaching at home is completely harder than in person.
I could imagine.
Completely harder. Because you wish you were like next to them, like writing it down for them, showing them, and then they can just copy it, and then you like see their understanding. Definitely harder. And you know, I think this is definitely a new way because we're told that we're gonna go back probably next year, but hybrid, probably 3 days in, 2 days virtual. And I don't know how teaching remote is gonna be like different,
Mm-hmm.
as in like doing the virtual, but um, it's definitely gonna be new avenues that people can use because I feel like for me, as a teacher, I think now a lot of parents will be like, "Oh, you can do virtual tutoring when they're back in the building." Be like, "Yeah, I've done it for 2 years." Be like, "I was doing Zoom calls teaching my kids. 60% of my kids passed." I'm not saying that's true. It's not gonna be 60%. It's gonna be all 100%. They're all gonna make it.
Only positivity here.
Only positivity here.
Vibes.
South Bronx, yes, like all 100% of kids are going to college. Let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Crazy. I used to say I'm going to Yale, and then my friends would be like, "Yeah, you're going to jail," and I'm like, well, I guess like either die. What's that 50 Cent movie?
I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
what the movie is.
I'm
I
trying to
don't know.
give up or die trying, something like that. I don't know.
Something
I'm
like
trying
that.
to. It's not how I
But
go. That's a
yeah.
terrible movie title.
But yeah, man. It's definitely a new way avenues that we can adapt to. We don't know what the new normal is gonna look like. When I was young, but when 9/11 happened, how much freedom we had going on airplanes,
Right.
that changed completely. After the 9/11, and I know my parents had told me because I was only 5 when it happened, but all the stories I've heard, like the shift that changed from 9/11. It's the same thing here. I think life is gonna be there's gonna be a new normal, um, and going back to the way things used to be. That's gonna happen. I doubt that's gonna happen for a
Right.
while, and there's gonna be a lot of adapting to, that we're gonna need to tackle.
Yeah.
And I think as human beings we can do it.
Yeah, definitely there. And I think when folks say, "Oh, this new normal, that things are going to blow over," it's almost like you're trying to convince yourself that it's going to go back
Yeah,
to normal. So for me, it's just been about just staying grounded, really using this time. For some, it's been downtime. For some, their work has ramped up.
yeah,
But for me in particular, it's just been really just investing in myself, recalibrating, thinking about my moves a little quickly because, before pandemic, things were just going so fast that I
yep,
didn't have time to think. I didn't have time to invest in myself. I didn't have time to just take a break and say, wow, there are areas in my life that I really needed to just improve and just hone in on and just reflect
that's
on.
right.
And I was like, why did I do things like this? So what I like about the pandemic, there's a lot of things I didn't like, but what I really
Yeah,
liked about the pandemic in relation to my life is it slowed a lot of things down when I was like kind of on an express train, not on the one train, because that
yeah.
train takes like
It takes
forever. I was
forever.
on that two train, no interruption, no service signal nonsense. I was on an
Yes.
express train downtown and I just did not have time to slow down. And now that I have this time to just slow down, I'm looking at things a little different. I'm taking things apart and really recalibrating and just making improvements where I can. So
Of course.
it's kind of one of the things to think about in this pandemic to anyone listening. Like now that you have all this time too, hopefully you're not just watching Netflix and you're not just, I don't
Yeah,
know, working your 9 to 5 and clocking out, but just figure out ways where you can just improve in what you're doing.
of course. You know, you going off of that and basically saying things you've learned and things you picked up. Like, what are certain things, like hobbies you've picked up through this pandemic to keep your mind sane since you're home all the time now?
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Like so many people have gotten so many hobbies during the pandemic. I mean, for me, it's been videography.
Yeah.
If anyone knows me, I'm a YouTube junkie. I'm constantly looking things up on YouTube, like how to invest, how to do well in an interview, how to give a better elevator pitch. I don't like then you go into YouTube wormholes, like why is Frank Ocean the recluse of music industry, and then you start going into other things. So for me, it's just been, I've always been interested on videography, but the back end, like how does one do video? How does one capture video? How to do it effectively? So from there, it just kind of led to the sky's the limit. Ended up purchasing a camera. I video edit now. Right now, I'm not really doing freelance. I'm really just helping my local community of faith. Shout out to Salem Temple, Pastor Oscar
Shout out, shout
Mendoza.
out,
Shout
shout
out,
out.
shout
New
out.
pastor, new pastor.
Yeah,
Let's get it. Let's go. Let's go.
new pastor. So for me, it's just been really learning that craft. And James, when I tell you there's so much to it, and I'm sure you know your world has changed with what you're doing
Yeah.
now. I have a greater appreciation when I sit down and watch a movie and someone says that's trash. I'm like, really though? Is it trash? Like,
Yeah.
look at this angle. Look at the way they were able to capture it. Look at the story they're telling here. I know you know you don't like this and that,
Yeah.
but from a
Perfect.
theatric
Continue.
perspective, or just a videography perspective, or just a
Can we go
dialogue
there real
perspective,
quick? Can we go there real quick? There's a movie. I don't know if you ever seen it. It's called 1917. It's a war
1970.
movie.
No, I haven't seen it. I
All
haven't
right,
seen
so
it.
take a look. It's a
Okay.
good watch. I was sitting there. It was like me and two of my friends. They're guys, and then there was like I think it was two females as well. And we were watching the movie, and it was a phenomenal movie.
Yeah.
Like with me, I look at everything. When it comes to music, I listen to like instruments, like how the beats are produced, not just the words. That's why I don't like rap music because I feel like there's no words, it's just beats.
Okay.
I'm a live instrument person. But back to the movie.
Mhm.
I'm looking at the movie and the way they were filming the entire movie
Mhm.
was mind-boggling. And I'm like, I left the movie and I was like, yo, this movie was great. And like the
Right.
two girls were like, the movie was trash and boring.
Right.
I'm like, oh, you see, you guys are not coming out with us next time.
Right.
That
Like
movie was phenomenal.
it's crazy, and something you said to it just speaks to your circle too. Like when you're with people like who also do videography, you just look at things so different. That's why I
Yeah,
think it's great to hang out with friends who like they think you're weird and they may not understand why you look at things a certain way, but when you just look at certain commercials too, like I don't know if you saw
mm-hmm.
that Beats commercial where the head was moving but the beats was staying still. So and in our lingo, when you look back, just look at a Beats video, just Google
Yeah,
it, and you'll see like LeBron James, you'll see I think James Harden, and they're like dribbling the ball, but you'll see that the Beats earpiece never moves.
wow,
So what all that is it's a great camera, right? You go into your video editor and you add pretty much like a tracker / stabilizer, so that whatever is moving, the subject is moving, but what you're kind of tracking does not move. So it makes for
that's
like
fire.
really creative shots. But that's something I picked up on. And I was like, whoa, like that's crazy. Like when you start to pick up something in your craft that's very instrumental, to
True,
our society, like videography's everywhere. You really
sure.
start to have a bigger appreciation for it. So, again, that was a hobby I picked up, but maybe someone's cooking, maybe someone's, I don't know, they're picking up new crafts on how to clean. So they're making chemicals, their
Yeah,
own fabuloso or something. And it's just like having the whole building
blow
smell
up.
great. I have no clue. Like
Yeah.
maybe I just gave someone their business plan, but it's just using this environment to have a greater appreciation in midst of this pandemic.
Of
That's what
course.
I would always tell someone, to just pick something up that you can really just appreciate in a greater sense. I always like to pick up things that are greater than myself. What can you do once you learn videography? The
Yeah.
sky's the limit. Always try to just pick something up like that. That's what I always tell my folks, people in my circle, in my network. Pick something up that's greater than yourself, learn it, do it with a spirit of excellence, and you'll see the impact over time.
Yeah, and I feel like that's where me creating this project called Talks with the Next.
Mm,
I'm a great like listener. I feel like I listen. I do a lot less talking when I'm talking to people. I like to listen to people and see exactly what like they're going through, or just like consoling them. And then like I say, consoling them, I feel like this project is bringing hope to other people in the same um,
Right.
boats like we are, between the ages of 20 to 30.
Mm.
Because we probably all had this straight focus of it. This is my career. I'm going to do. I'm going to college for 4 years, experience the life, and then go on with my life. Then a pandemic hits. You're paying the same price for tuition, and you're home. Let's not go there, but
Right.
that's happening. Like, oh, I'm
Why
gonna
are you
pay.
paying technology fees, CUNY? Why are you paying technology fees? You don't have
Exactly.
access to those fees. Shout out to CUNY. All right, all the presidents, I want them on this call right now. Address me. Address me. Why are we paying technology fees if we
If we're not
cannot go
using
into
it.
the freaking library and access the printing materials? Everybody know that there's this dude in library XZ, whatever, like
Yep.
just handing out ink. Like, yo, I got that ink.
Yeah.
Like you can't even go in the damn libraries. Why are we paying for technology fees? So I just want
I,
an explanation. Maybe someone down in the chat can let me know. Like this is exactly why we're
yeah.
paying technology fees, sir. You are like correct me, but if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But why are we paying technology fees? I'm just very
I don't
passionate.
understand. And there's a lot of people who are still paying like, these $40,000 for tuition for these like private institutions when they can't even be on the land itself. Yeah, I know these southern states, a lot of them are going back. They're like
Right.
full in, and like these upstate schools, or these city schools, a lot of these kids are still paying like full tuition, and they're virtual learning. Like they didn't sign up for online classes.
It,
Like,
it
and
sucks, man.
it's crazy.
It
I don't,
sucks,
I
and
don't understand.
it just speaks to like how archaic some institutions are. Like
Yeah.
when I think of cutting edge and I think of robust learning, I really don't think of college. I think of
Yeah.
college as it's always worked and it's like a solution that'll always be there as a default. But these aren't people who are innovating in these in these seats of leadership in communities. People are throwing money at them regardless of whether they do something or nothing. So I think as a generation, we really need to start pushing and really just reinventing the wheel when it comes to how we address college, how we advocate for changes on campuses, because it really is ridiculous. Folks are spending a lot of money. And in the shift of this pandemic, sure, you figured out remote learning, but what about all the other pieces that you can enhance
Yeah.
now that students are not in campus? And these folks are socially distanced, they're still going there, they're still having meetings. Hopefully they're using this time as well to really reinvent college, because I think after the pandemic shifts too, people are going to really rethink college too. Like, look at all this learning I got done without being in this community or figuring it out on my own.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go to YouTube University. Maybe I'll just do my own thing, right? Like college is going to start losing money. They have been already historically, but even
Yeah.
more so after this pandemic. So they really got to figure out like how they can do college better, how they can create a curriculum that really helps folks out in the future and really gives them the tools they need. Because learning the Pythagorean theorem, or I don't know, a hypotenuse is great, but I'm probably not going to apply that anytime soon unless I'm an engineer. Any engineers in the chat, definitely put it there. But really, like, what are we learning? And I think that's what colleges really need to instruct. I'm sure some do it better than others, but in total and in my experience, there's so many better options in college nowadays.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like, I love this conversation because I feel like education is definitely in American education um, in our country. It's definitely, not where it should be and not where it used to be. Like we
Mm-hmm.
were ranked number one for a long time until like 10, 15 years ago. And that shifted and we've been going down ever since.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like one of the things is like these regular middle class universities is the biggest issue. These kids are going to school to get a psychology degree, and then they get out and they're like mad money in debt and have no type of job in it.
Right.
Right.
At
And I'm not
Target,
saying
they'll work at Target,
you
or
can work at
something at
Target and
Walmart,
like,
but it's like, and then maybe they're a manager, but did you really need to
so you
invest?
wasted your 4 years.
Yeah, it
You could
makes
have
no
been
sense.
working for 4 years in Target and had more money by the time you got out of college. You actually lost money in college.
It's nuts.
And for me, like I went to school for business, and there's definitely certain things I knew, or certain things I learned in college. I definitely came out in debt. Um, Anybody who's listening, like I'm 100% against college debt and any debt in general. I feel like it's a waste. Like if you can't afford it, don't get it. Like
Right.
save up to get it. Like if you have to take out a loan for college, go to a different college,
Right.
or don't go to college until you get the money to go. because you can
Right.
learn so much on the internet or through life in general that I've learned so much in the past. I've graduated in 2018, 2021, now 3 years. I've learned so much in 3 years than I did in the 4 years in college.
Mhm.
And I
It's
graduated with like a 2.6 GPA. Honestly, I can care less because at the end of the day, that's not going to define like my future. Now,
word.
there are certain, career paths where college is necessary, like medical field or like lawyers, because if you have a 2.6 GPA and you're trying to be my doctor, honestly,
Yeah.
bro, you're not going to be my doctor, even though I don't
Right.
ask you what was your GPA. But
C's get degrees, but I don't know about a medical degree. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I don't know about that because if you don't get an A, there's an
Need that
issue.
A plus work. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like those are the certain ones that you probably need a degree for, maybe like engineering and stuff. I feel like there's certain things you don't know. It's like not technology. I think you can do a lot of technology on your own. But like definitely like engineering and stuff like that, or like flying planes. I think there's a lot of schooling that you need for that from professionals. But there's definitely a lot of other things people are going into. Like they're just going to college just to go, right?
Right.
It's like, oh, my mom told me to go. Like, who cares what your mom said? You're the one that's gonna be paying those bills at the end of the day, not her.
Right.
Once you hit 18, it's over.
Right. But I mean, James, to speak to that too, when you really get out of high school, sometimes you don't have any credit. So you can't even
Yeah.
apply for loans and get them. So sometimes your parents have to incur the debt. And, I could speak to that personally where, I went to a certain campus, a certain college that quite frankly just wasn't for me. But the gravitation after high school is just go straight to college. So, I incurred some debt.
Me too.
I tried to get into the next semester. They denied me the loan because now my parents got bad credit. And then,
Yeah.
I had to kind of reinvent what am I going to do with my life? So then, fast forward a couple years now, just seeing the gravity of that mistake. Now my parents are trying to get a mortgage, right? In their
Yeah.
retirement years, which speaks testament to like how in debt you have to be just to invest in education. And now they can't get a freaking mortgage because they have
Wow.
that student debt along with my sister and my brother. So
Wow.
it really boils down to the fact that one, a decision you make may not just impact you. Great, you want to go to college, but if you can't get that loan, just know that your parents are picking up that tab. So if you're getting a degree in, I don't know, space rocks, great. Like
Mhm.
it's super groovy. Maybe, you study space and rocks and it's great and the colors look really
Yeah.
cool. But realistically, you can't get a job in that market. Now your parents are paying that debt. They defer, they defer. After a while, they start to go in the negative, in the red. Now they're
Yeah.
defaulting on a payment. There's no way they can really financially level up if they're incurring your debt. So
It's crazy.
just some things to think about that maybe college isn't the only option. And I really foresee in about 10 to 15 years, a direct competitor really competing with college. I believe they're out there now. College is still kind of like that. Hey, listen, we're not going anywhere anytime soon, but you got workforce development programs coming out. You got other ways of learning that
Trade
really
school.
tie to a career, right? Trade school. Someone's like this Steve Jobs CEO. Someone's gonna come out of nowhere and say, "I hate the college institution. I'm gonna provide a better solution where I can guarantee you a job. I can teach you skills that you're gonna learn, and ultimately, it's gonna level up your career way more than college would."
Yep.
I don't know what that looks like. I don't know. I definitely feel like Gen Z and the millennials are definitely on that creative side. Someone's
Yep.
gonna figure it out. But just to end though, something I really like that Elon Musk said is like, I don't really care about your degree. And
Yep.
something he says is just like, I look at Steve Jobs. He didn't have a degree. Would you pass up an opportunity to hire Steve Jobs? Absolutely not. Obviously, what he's saying also as an undertone is, yes, he's not looking for people with degrees, but you better tech out. You better like really be on your stuff and know your stuff. Outside of a college education. So folks who kind of embrace that mentality is like, I ain't going to school. I don't need to learn about school. Yes, but what are you doing in the interim in lieu of not going to school?
Yeah.
That's always that undertone that a lot of people don't pick up. If you're not going to school, then what are you doing to supplement that education?
Because I feel like, learning, you need to be learning every day. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can't stop learning. If you think you
Right.
don't need to learn, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. I feel like, unless you want to be that same person living with their mother and their dad or
Mm-hmm.
like rooming with somebody your entire life, then by means go for it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to make it in life and make more money, and at the end of the day, people, just be honest, like from our ages of like 20, maybe 18 to the time we retire, we just want to make more money. So when we do retire,
Mm-hmm.
we can like have enough money for us to like supply us until we, you
Mm-hmm.
know, go away. For me with my savior, for me who just passed away, right? And and I feel like if you're not learning, people are not gonna like want you to work with them. Like you're gonna keep working that. I'm not shutting down any cashiers out there. Nobody. I'm not any hate, but if you want to be working being a cashier your entire life, or like a
Right.
sales associate and then like a retail store your entire life, then by all means go for it. But the only way you're gonna get to manager spot is if you learn actual social skills.
Right.
Even though some people are managers, they don't know how to be socially capable, whatever.
Right.
But they had to learn how to deal with the company too. They probably know how to do, like, let's say for AT&T, they just probably know how to, make these plans or put plans together to like submit them, or even though they have no social skills, but they learned something. They knew
Mm-hmm.
they couldn't just stay stagnant the entire time and not put any effort into learning something.
Mm-hmm. No,
You know, I, go ahead.
absolutely. No, no, no. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and you said something too. You said like you fast forward a few years. You're talking about college, how you went into college, had debt, you didn't get money for the next year, and then you had to like basically switch up your entire like future goals and what you want to do. Like right now, where you're at, um, do you feel like this is where you want to be?
So I like to think of like everyone has like a success plan, a success
Yeah,
goal in mind. Um, and a lot of times we think it's so linear, like this is A and B, and then that's
it's
kind
not.
of like where it's at.
Totally is not.
No, I mean like in my career span, in my life, in my professional or ambitions,
Yeah,
I'm not where I want to be, but I definitely feel like I'm on the trajectory. But it definitely took some time, and no one can walk my path but my own. But there's a lot of stories to share in similarity, right? So let's take a step back. When I was on that campus and I'm talking to that individual, I'll never forget that conversation I had with her. She was like, "Man, I'm looking at your grades. Like, it looked like you were doing well, and then you just fell off. Like, what were you doing? Partying?" And I said, I was actually working retail 40 and 40, 40. I was working shifts for 40 hours a week, just trying to get this payment plan going with my parents. On top of that, taking out a loan. Like, it just didn't make sense
yeah.
for me to go.
That's
And I remember
that's a
her
lot,
just
dude.
looking at me, and she was just like, wow, okay. And then it was like so cold. She was like, I guess you could go to BCC. I was like, sure. Okay. Long story short, I ended up going to a program called Year Up.
Yeah,
So Year Up is one of those workforce development programs I was actually talking about. So what you really do with Year Up is you get 6 months of learning and development. You
yeah.
pick a career path, whether that's software development, whether that's business and finance, whether that's IT help desk support. So I did my 6 months there. Afterwards, I gained a corporate internship at a Fortune 500 company. I did really, really well. And that's kind of where, like, in my life, I really felt a big pivot, right? Where
Yeah.
society was telling me to go one way, but I took a non conventional method to still reach my end goal.
Okay.
So after that, I was able to leverage what I learned from Citigroup to go back to a senior college, Lehman
Wow.
College, got my 4 year degree there, got an internship at the company I'm currently working now. And, the sky's been the limit. And through everything I've been learning, if there's any three key things I can learn, it's network, right? Network to your net worth, right? Just
Yeah.
network, talk to anyone. No one is significant. Talk to the
That's
janitor.
awesome.
That janitor may be close with the CEO, and out of nowhere, when you're talking to the janitor, he's like, hey, do you know my buddy Gabe? And bam, it happens, right?
Yeah.
True story. That happens a lot more than you think. Talk to a security guard, talk to the person in marketing who maybe is weird and no one talks to, but
Yeah.
you talk to them. Maybe they're just really creative and you start to get ideas from them. Talk to everyone around you. Everyone can add value
Yep.
in one way or another. You just have to discern where that value is. And then really just build on making relationships that last. Whether it's just taking someone to coffee when they're having a really tough day, or in general, just being present when someone needs present, right? Like we can
Yeah.
speak volumes there. But network, making relationships, and being very edgy and intentional with your career. Like once you're on that trajectory and you're really making moves, really be intentional about your next steps and either write it out, map it out, do something. Don't just do something just to do it. I think that if you want to be successful, you have to be intentional about it. Like success doesn't
Yeah.
happen in a vacuum.
Gotta work
So
for it.
map out that plan, even if you don't really know exactly what that looks like. To me, I knew that I just wanted to do something more personal and human related. So that's how I was able to pivot into human capital, which is human resources, and I'm really making an impact there and changing lives. But it took time to get there. It took being very intentional with showing up to to networking events and just
Yeah.
really getting to know the people there, to just pivot from a role in a mailroom to a role in human resources. So again, it's not really where you start, and I hate to take this phrase from
Yeah.
somebody else, but it's how you finish.
How you
But
finish.
also, it's really in the
How you
middle,
get
right?
there.
It's in the
How you get
middle where
there.
the work happens. Like if it's not really how you start, but it's in the middle where all the work you really need to do happens. So again, it's really all about noticing when things aren't working well, failing very fast, like fail fast. Do not fail slow. Like people who like, oh, woe is me. I think I can do this. Let me keep edging it out. And you keep more and more in debt. You keep failing and failing, fail
Yeah.
fast. 2 semesters not working for you, pivot. Girlfriend, it's working really bad, pivot, bye. Like fail fast, like always fail fast in everything you do, and then really just reflect on where you went right, where you went wrong. Everything is an experiment. What was your hypothesis? Was it right? Was it wrong? Where did you go right? And then go towards that direction.
Definitely.
So for me, it's just like nothing was linear. And I feel like I'm to answer your question, yes, I do feel I'm where I'm at, but I'm not where I want to be. It's all about leveling up. Like until I die, continue to level up. Like if you have that mentality, you'll always find yourself pushing yourself. I I'm one person, I do not like complacency.
Yeah.
Like if we're doing the same thing, yielding the same results over and over again, I'm going to ask that critical question. It's like, hey, folks and gals, how do we do this differently? What can we doing better? What can we be doing better, right? What is that individual doing that we're not doing? Like,
Yeah.
how can we have a meeting of the minds? Like, no, zero complacency. Like, if you like complacency, then be very acceptable with complacency, like how do I say
Results.
lifestyle and
And
results.
results. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I
So
and I
yeah,
you know I definitely agree with that because you know for me personally, like I didn't when I got out of high school, in the South Bronx, I was in high school. The goal was go to get a like have a goal set in mind to make money, right? Make money. And they were definitely pushing, yo, go to college, go to college, go to college. Like that's what everyone's goal is, go to college. Saying that I'm going to tell you right now, this is my personal opinion, pretty sure yours too. There's definitely other avenues than college. Definitely so much more avenues than college. I think it's called the real world and learning
right.
from the real world. And pushing college, pushing college. So you know what? Going to college, going to college. My mom told me to go to college. I was still living with my mom at the time. So, had to listen to her. For me to be in our house, you had to go to college. Whatever. So I went to college, went to a private institution. I wanted to experience the quote unquote college life. I didn't go away, but I was able to drive somewhere where there was a college environment. And, I went to school for business and finance. And, did my 4 years, had my ups and downs. And like you said, the retail life, I was doing 35 to 40 hours a week as well. I was just good at my job. Like if they know, like think about retail, they'll abuse the hell out of you if you're good.
Yeah.
If you're good, they're abusing you. They're giving you the night shifts on weekends
Yep.
and the Monday, Tuesday mornings when the shipment comes in.
Yep.
They're like, yo, we need this to be done. And they'll still pay you the same wage.
Right.
And they'll try to give you manager positions so you can be there long term and get you stuck. Don't do it. If you want to leave, don't be a manager because they're gonna eat your life away. They asked me like 4 times, man.
Man,
Four
I've seen
times.
grown men cry in manager positions. It's tough,
Yeah.
and grown women too. It's definitely what I noticed about retail. Like the good retailers, they'll always sell you on the dream. Like, listen, you start off as a floor specialist, you'll become a supervisor, and you can be making 6 figures as a freaking manager of the
Yeah.
whole wide store, a
So
flagship
yeah.
store, or whatever. But it's just like the amount of people working towards that, the amount of people you have to compete with, and also the staff you're working with too. Like, get used to working with a staff that changes week to week because people quit
Yeah.
like all the time in retail.
Nonstop. Yeah.
What I like to tell people is just like, don't really pick up the dream that someone else gives you. Create your own
Own
dream.
dream. Yeah.
If whoever throws you a dream and says, hey, listen, like this is what I really think you should be doing, or this and that, you're only making someone else's dream come true, right? Like
Yeah.
follow your passion, follow your desires, and
That's
learn to
right.
discover yourself. I think a lot of people don't do that. They don't learn to discover who they are, what they do well.
They
They're
take their
always
time.
looking for value elsewhere, and it just sucks. It does take time, and everyone has their journey, but as long as you're having intentional conversations with others and yourself, you'll get there.
And I think that's what happened to me, literally. In those 4 years, I went to business. I felt like I liked the information about business, but for some reason, when I did a year after college, when I graduated, I did a year in like the business world.
Mhm.
Um, and I had like internships in college as well. So I was in the office from like for one summer, actually 2 summers, I was in the office setting. I was like, I can't do this. Like I can't. I'm not that person to literally sit here all day, 9 to 5, and do like computer numbers. I like the numbers, but I just can't sit down and do this all my life. But you know what? I said I'm gonna go with it, and I tried a year in a business setting. Didn't like it, but throughout that time, I had many conversations with my friends or people around me, not even just friends, just people who are in the world that I'm living in now, like education field. There's like they saw me in like my local church when I attended the church you attend now, Salem. There's like, man, you're just great with kids. Like you have, you like to teach them. You enjoy yourself around them. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. But I still shrugged it off. I was like, I don't think I want to work with kids my entire life. But then I saw the benefits it is as well on top of that of teaching. Like you get a benefit of seeing the kid grow up and actually learn something, even though they probably, are doing bad like grade wise, but like their social skills are better because it's something that you've impacted into them. And then
Right.
also right, working for the education field, the days you get off, there's definitely benefits to it too. But then I do those conversations, I was able to learn who I am. And for me is teaching people. I like to help people, and it could be kids and it could be adults. And then I love the money side to it. I like the financial side. Then I like teaching. So I was like, after actually a past year through COVID, I was like, maybe I can use me liking financial stuff and teaching to do something else. And there is a job for that. Like, probably being a financial coach one day. Like, people don't know how to budget their lives. A lot of people, you'll be surprised. And I feel like that's a goal for mine, I don't want to be complacent just being a teacher for kids my entire life. Maybe teach something else. And I feel like I'm definitely agreeing on what you said, where you just can't be complacent. Like you need to keep growing. And I'm just agreeing with you based off my story, based on what's going on with my life right now. And, the only way is up. You can't stay complacent unless you want complacent results, like you said. So
Mhm.
there's definitely some truth behind what you said. And
Mhm.
you said there was three things. I know you said the first one was marketing. I mean, market with people, so social skills.
Mm.
What was the other two things? I don't know if you even touched on that.
Yeah. So for the most part, you definitely want to network. You're what
Network.
network, right?
Yep.
The second one is you just want to build lasting relationships. Like you
Lasting
have
relationships. Yep.
no idea how far just letting someone know, hey, listen, you look a little down. Is everything okay? And they just pour everything to you. Sometimes they just need a therapist because they don't have time to go see a therapist. So they
Yeah.
chose you, the lucky person, to be their therapist. And sometimes you just nod your head, you listen. Sometimes you add value, but you just let people talk. There's value in, like you said, just listening, actively
Just
listening to
listening. Yeah.
people. And then like saying, hey, listen, like I know your day was messed up yesterday. Here's
Yeah.
I don't know, a box of chocolates. And then it's like, oh my God, this is so great. So making lasting relationships and being intentional with your relationships too,
True.
no matter how small or how big, they all add value, and it's how you prioritize it too. And then the third one was really just being very intentional with your next steps, right?
Yeah.
So in regards to when you look at your path in totality, how can you be intentional with that next step? Although you don't know really what the whole board or the map is, right? At least in terms of that next step or two, what can you take to be closer to where you definitely want to be further from where you are now and closer to
Yeah.
your next goal, where not really reaching the end, I guess, the end path or end goal for you. But with certain personalities like myself, it's just like there is no end. It's just like you keep going and keep going until you die. Like if I pick up something and I'm bored, I'm gonna do something else. Like I'm
Yeah.
definitely not that person to do the same thing over and over for 10 to 15 years. Like I constantly want to be pivoting and learning something new and really stimulating my mind and really
Of
adding
course.
value to my professional brand. And it's all about that. It's literally about leveling up and taking like kind of milestones and really taking account to it, and then saying, hey, listen, I've done all I can done. What's next for me? What's that next challenge for me? So always
Yeah.
have that kind of winner's mindset, that champion's mindset. Like that's how champions are born. Like they're just
Yeah.
not complacent. Like shout out to Last Dance. I cannot play basketball like Michael Jordan, but I'm sure so
Yeah.
many embody his passion and his um, kind of perspective on how he took a craft and he really, really, really expanded it to the most excellent player within his craft. I
Yeah.
don't know about managing a team. Hopefully he can have a little bit more energy towards the Charlotte Hornets. But when you think about basketball and you think about the best ever to do it. You got to think about Michael Jordan. And it
Yeah.
was all really just character, personality, and just being very intentional with what he was doing. He wanted to be the best. What does that take, right? Sure, how he started off great. At the end, we saw how it ended, the best ever, right? But what was the middle, right? That's where you really see the work, and that's all the documentary was all about, the middle. So continue to work in the middle. A lot of people I'm sure watching are in the middle right now, putting in that
Yeah.
work. Give up, keep going. Sure,
Most
next
time.
step, you don't even know what it is. Continue to press forward. If you're really at a point where you're in a hard rock in the right place, hard rock in a tough place, maybe you're just in the wrong environment and you just need to pick yourself up and go, right? The mentality of failing fast, like you want to always fail fast. If you're at an
Yeah.
environment that's just destructive and toxic to you and you can no longer keep going, don't tough it out and have like this optimistic mentality that things are going to change. Yeah, things may change 10 years from now, but who's to say that you can't get to where you want to be in 1 year if you just pick yourself up and go somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
So I always like to tell folks, fail fast. All that means is, you know, you're really learning really quickly that, hey, this is not for me, or hey, this is not working out, or hey, there is no ROI, return on investment
Yeah.
here, and I need to do something different and pivot. That's all fail
True.
fast is. You always want to be someone who fails fast.
Couldn't say any better, man. And I feel like that's the one piece of advice you can give to people right now is if you're listening, fail fast, right? You know, don't be complacent. You know, if things ain't going right, change it, right? You can be the one to change your own life. Someone's not gonna change it for you. So change your life. Don't be complacent. And I love that, bro. Definitely something we should all take to consideration
Mm-hmm.
as we go through life. And thank you for being on here, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't appreciate it
Absolutely.
more.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a blast. It's been a lot of fun. And yeah, signing off.
Signing off, man.
Till the next one. Till the next one.
Next one, definitely,
Till the
definitely.
next one.